They say a village can vanish twice, once in smoke and once in silence. And in the case of Oradour-sur-Glane, the silence has lasted nearly 80 years. When the war ended, the ruins of Oradour were left exactly as they were: charred door frames, rusted bicycles, clock hands frozen at the hour tragedy struck. France declared the village a memorial, a place where time should never move again. And yet, behind those still walls, another mystery grew, one that lived not in stone, but in ink. Because sometime after 1944, the official records, the documents meant to preserve the testimonies of survivors, soldiers, and investigators, began to disappear. At first, no one noticed. A missing page here, a misplaced transcript there. But as historians returned to the archives decades later, they found entire folders gone. Statements referenced in early books simply no longer existed. And when they tried to reconstruct the timeline, the voices didn't line up. Testimonies contradicted each other. Details blurred. Some survivors remembered smoke from one direction. Others swore it came from another. Even the earliest reports, once considered solid, now read like fractured mirrors of the same moment. For a long time, people assumed it was clerical error. Wartime chaos, maybe even mold or decay. But then a box surfaced in a private collection, letters hinting that certain documents were removed intentionally. "For clarity," one note read. "For unity," said another. And the implication sent a chill through every researcher who touched it. If the records were altered, whose story had been simplified? Whose voice had been lost? That question haunted Élise Charpentier, a young historian who had grown up an hour from the memorial site. She walked the abandoned streets as if they were part of her own memory. The sewing machine still sitting on its table. The car rusting behind the garage. A cradle, half-burned, leaning against a wall. "These objects," she whispered, "can't answer back. The records were supposed to." So she dug deeper. She interviewed families, combed through church logs, tracked down forgotten journalists, and slowly, painfully, she realized something. The truth of Oradour had never been a single perfect line. It was a mosaic of fear, fire, confusion, and grief. Terrified witnesses remembered what they could, not what was perfectly accurate. Soldiers misreported. Officials struggled to reconcile chaos into clean paragraphs. And someone, somewhere, decided that a simplified narrative would hurt less. But in doing so, they erased the complexity that made the story human. In the final scene of her research, Élise stood in the village church at dusk. Light shone through broken windows, scattering red across the floor like fallen petals. "History isn't a puzzle to be solved," she said softly. "It's a promise that we won't let the pieces be forgotten." And maybe that's the real mystery of the missing records. Not who took them, or why, but how much courage it takes to face the fragments that remain, and acknowledge the ones that never will. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to help the channel grow.